Kia ora, good evening. A new twist in the foreign trust saga is raising questions for the Prime Minister. Official documents show a company set up by John Key's lawyer strongly lobbied against changing the rules on the trusts.
The papers suggest Mr Key talked to a representative of the firm Antipodes Trust Group, who claims he gave assurances there'd be no changes to the rules. In the end, an inland revenue review was dropped. Political editor Corin Dan is with us now to go through the details. Corin, what can you tell us?
Yeah, well, we first learned about the Antipodes Group a couple of weeks ago when the Prime Minister and other MPs released their financial interests here at Parliament. We now know that the Antipodes Group has been a key player in the industry for some time now, arguing the case for the current foreign trust laws. While the Mossack Fonseca scandals put the spotlight on foreign trusts in New Zealand now, concerns about them aren't new.
Back in 2013, Inland Revenue did give advice to the government that said that New Zealand's international reputation was at risk because we were being seen as a tax haven.
IRD was mulling over a review of foreign trust rules at that time. Documents obtained by the Greens show that IRD interest alarmed Antipodes Trust Group, which specialises in trusts, and it set about lobbying the government. Antipodes Trust Group is run by John Key's personal lawyer, Ken Whitney. In a 2014 email, Mr Whitney claimed to have spoken with the Prime Minister, saying John Key told him the government has no current plans to change the status of the foreign trust regime, and suggested a meeting with Revenue Minister Todd McClay. It's a claim the Prime Minister alluded to in a media briefing 2 weeks ago.
One of the members of the that group of foreign trusts asked me about it. I said, I haven't got a clue what you're talking about. I don't think that's right, that there are changes, but go and take it up with the Minister. Subsequently, there's miles of paperwork that shows all the stuff they did. I had no other involvement other than that. It happens every day to me. People come up to me all the time and say, what about X or what about Y? And I say, take it up with the relevant Minister.
I think he's got some pretty serious questions to answer about what he did say or didn't say to Antipodes.
A day after the Antipodes email referencing the Prime Minister, Mr McClay tells IRD not to recommend removing New Zealand's foreign trust regime. But an IRD report released a couple of weeks later warns rules around the trusts are not good enough. 4 days later, Todd McClay meets foreign trust representatives at Antipodes' Auckland office, and they continue to lobby the government in coming months. By May 2015, Mr McClay writes to the industry players telling them there will be no reforms of foreign trust regulations. A week later, IRD staff were told there'd be no review.
You've got to remember that, like, people who care about climate change, people who care about, child poverty and so on, do not have this kind of access, are not able to change government policy on a whim like that.
Todd McClay won't comment. The owner of Antipodes Group, Ken Whitney, also hasn't responded to requests for a comment.
All right then, Corin, how's the Prime Minister responding tonight?
Yeah, well, I've spoken to John Key tonight, and he says this is pretty desperate stuff from the Greens. Look, he points out and is adamant that he gets approached every day, effectively lobbied every day on issues, and says he did everything he could properly do in this case, which was to tell Mr Whitney to go and speak to the minister concerned. On the issue of the review that never took place, the government argues that there were simply higher priorities and that there wasn't really going to be any money returned to New Zealand from reviewing the foreign trust laws, and so there were bigger priorities for IRD. Look, all of this stuff is going to no doubt be churned over here in Parliament when that resumes next week.
Corin, thanks very much.